Hello everyone, it's Nicole Galacci from FoodGrads and I'm joined by Dr. Darin Detwiler from Northeastern University, and we're going to talk to you about starting a career in the food industry.
In this video, we're going to talk about job searching.
I speak to students and grads on a daily basis, and one of the questions I get the most is, where are all the jobs? Where do I find jobs that are specifically for me? What would your answer if you're being asked the same question? Where do you guide students and grads?
Yeah, I have a similar experience. Students who are going through a graduate program or any program, quite honestly, they're usually looking at either to find some change within their current job, going to a different level, or to move beyond their job, to find a specific place within another employer or a different level out there. And I think that's everyone's goal. Um, and it's a very common question: are there jobs out there? And obviously, we know that there are jobs out there. Um,
Mhm.
the availability of jobs, there are some factors. You start looking at geography. You start looking at types of jobs. You could start looking at a level of income, or level of minimum education required or minimum certifications required. But once you understand those variables in terms of looking at what your goals are and how you fit within those, it's easy to start seeing where those jobs are. And clearly, there are plenty of opportunities out there.
Do you have a dedicated job board or place that you do direct students to or grads to?
Um, there are times where employers do come to me directly and say, "Hey, I've got this internship or this position open," and we'll put that out there. But we don't have a direct, specific to this industry type of a
Hmm.
job board. I think that, quite honestly, using tools like LinkedIn or Indeed, there's so many resources, FoodGrads, there's Joe Food Safety. There are many dedicated online platforms that give announcements and plenty of information about jobs out there.
Hmm.
I think that one of the hardest parts of it, other than like again the geography, the salary levels, the minimum requirements, is quite honestly that there are so many similar jobs that have vastly different job titles.
Yeah.
If you go searching for quality assurance or quality control, you might be limited because there are the exact job you're looking for that's not called that.
Hmm.
So perhaps being open to widening your search terms. If you find that you're not looking, or if you find that you're not able to find any results for your specific job title, go to a company that does have, you would think they would have your job title, look at
Hmm.
their positions that are open, look at the job descriptions, look at the qualifications, find that match, and now all of a sudden you realize it's called something else.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So look at that, but add that to your list of possible search terms for the job that you're looking for. I think that both of us have experienced at conferences we go to that you can have a conference that's really geared to this audience, and you look at the job titles of the attendees, and they're all over the place.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I think it depends on the company. And well, going back to the job board, I know a lot of students have asked me, why isn't there somewhere dedicated? It's confusing. We want somewhere dedicated, and I'm certainly trying to make food grads that go-to one-stop shop for students and grads. That's a goal of mine. It takes time for awareness, and obviously companies have their recruitment strategies in place. And as a job seeker, you need to be aware of that. And it's impossible to know what every company does because every company is different, and a smaller organization is going to do something entirely different to a much larger food manufacturer. So you really do have to keep, to your point, your mind open. And in terms of the actual search and job titles, um, Exactly. I mean, I couldn't agree more. You're going to see so many different titles. In smaller organizations, you might see a job title, but when you actually look at the responsibilities, it's much broader because in a smaller company, people have to wear more hats. And that can be a great thing. Small organizations, I often get asked, and going off track a little bit, what's the benefit, big or small? And there's benefits and disadvantages to both big companies and smaller companies, I would say wholeheartedly. And certainly in a smaller organization, you can wear more hats, get more experience, be integrated in more departments potentially, and the opposite true for a larger. But then there's benefits of a larger with regards to HR and systems and processes and that type of thing. You were going
Oh,
to add
sure.
there, yeah.
Oh, sure. I've had the pleasure of working with so many students and hearing about their jobs. And there's such a range. I recall a number of years back when a student told me that she was in charge of the chemical testing of materials used in the piece of waxed paper that goes between the tub of ice cream and the lid.
Yeah.
And I go, well, what else do you do? She goes, no, that's it, you know. And then you go to the next student, and they're like, I am the chief R&D, quality assurance, documentation, and bottle washer. You know, they
Yeah.
literally have 75 job descriptions within their one title. And I think that there are people that do want that very limited range of job duties, and people that
Hmm.
want to have, every day is like the box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, but
Yeah.
it's all encompassed in that one job description. So I
Absolutely.
think the job title might not be nearly as important as the job descriptions, because
Hmm.
that's the
And the
natural,
skills.
yeah, and the
Yeah.
skills.
Yeah. But
See,
like
that's
to
the
make
natural
sure,
part. I'm sorry.
absolutely. I think to make sure we talked a little bit about this prior to recording, but to make sure that you put the skills on your resume that you never falsify those, that you have, but make sure you put into your resume what you want, or certainly on your cover letter too, what you want to do, what the things you like to do, and gear your search around those, because ultimately you could walk into the interview and tailor that a little bit, the job, or you have that skill, you like social media, well, we need somebody that, we don't have anyone doing social media, especially if it's in a smaller organization. You could be doing, the QA role and a little bit of social media. Like there's all these different facets you can bring into the role. If it's on your resume and if those keywords are on there, and as well, you don't know, you're not in the mind of the employer. There might be something you hadn't thought was important to this particular position, but they say, oh, that we like that experience, we like that that they bring that to the table. We don't have that on our team. So it's really important to include those skills. And nowadays, most job boards, I know that FoodGrads, we do offer hashtags to highlight, over and above the job description, those simple search terms, so that you can really marry the job to your skill set and desires.
I think one phenomena that needs to be taken into consideration is that the field is changing. The needs within the industry are changing, and many times an HR department is rather disconnected from the team or the unit that has a specific job opening.
Yeah,
And you might find that they're using old job descriptions and
yeah.
qualifications even in their announcement. And I remember years ago, I kept finding this situation where, let's say, the 15th, 16th, 17th bullet down talks about fundraising and grant writing. And you get to the interview, and all of a sudden it's the first question they ask, and you're sitting there realizing, so it's really about this higher priority item of this job task than has it appeared on
Hmm.
the posted announcement for the job. People will encounter that, and it's very
Absolutely.
important to be clear about your own, how you are listing your job skills and qualifications, certifications, education, and really spend some time investigating. And I would think that perhaps, you always see that for more information, contact so and so.
Hmm.
Do a little bit of research. Find out, maybe you find someone who's doing that exact job for that company and you can get some insights from him
Hmm.
or her in terms of, does this really focus on this, or am I really
Yes.
going to find this kind of an environment?
Hmm.
And there's a little bit more than just what you find online as a job description in terms of making sure it's a right fit for you.
I couldn't agree more. 10 years recruiting for the food and beverage industry prior to starting FoodGrads. One thing that struck me is the majority of companies are small and medium. The smaller percentage are the big food. So where you might find your job is in one of those small or medium sized organizations. And certainly for the smaller, but even the medium size, they don't have a huge HR department. Maybe there's one person dedicated to human resources functions, payroll, benefits, compensation. So you have to remember they're not expert job description writers. So to your point exactly, the same job description is just being regurgitated, and it's interesting how they may put that job description out and it's not even what the, like you said, the team are looking for, but it's the one that's on file. Everyone's busy. Let's just get some bodies in. Let's get some people in. And then during the interview process, we'll figure out who's the right fit. So there's that approach too, which I think is more common than you'd think.
Yeah, I think the big picture here is understand that there's a lot of variables and there's a lot of different things to investigate when you're looking at the idea of something being a right fit. And ultimately, I think that's what's the most important thing is doing that research for yourself in terms of making sure that either A, you're finding the right fit, or that you're not wasting all your time and energy
Mm.
for something that's not a right fit. Because a lot of people too, um, you fill out the information, you submit your resume, you fill out an online application, you go through these steps, and then sometimes you never hear back. Sometimes you wait a long
Hmm.
time only to find out that you don't go on to the next stage. And it
Yeah.
does create a bit of an emotional roller coaster. So
Yes.
limit the number of roller coasters and make sure you're investing all this emotional, not just time and energy, but the emotional efforts into the ones that are the best fit for you.
Hmm. And I love the point that you made about LinkedIn or finding somebody that worked there. LinkedIn's an amazing resource for that you can go on. I don't think anybody minds receiving a message that says, "Hey, I'm really interested in working for your company. I see there's a job opportunity. I'm not asking for you to put my resume in front of HR, but and I think that's key. Don't ask for something like that necessarily, but just ask questions that are easy for them to answer. And if you build that rapport, before you know it, you may find they're already offering to support you even more so than you had planned. But to come out of the gate asking for something like that, you imagine if you're in their seat and 50 students or grads a day are doing that, that's going to water down their opportunity to actually help. But to create those connections is huge. So yeah, ask questions.
Sure. And another great place to ask questions is outside of LinkedIn. Many universities, Northeastern University here in Boston, we have something like this where you have a platform to engage with other alumni from the university. And I know you can specify by discipline and by geography, and you can even indicate whether or not you're looking for someone to help you with networking or to look at job materials.
Hmm.
But to think about the idea of your alumni from your academic institution as a potential platform to either
Hmm.
get help or even potentially learn of new job opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. The help is there. I think the key message is people are willing to help, and don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And you'll be amazed how many people will say, "I remember what it was like starting out." I mean, since I started FoodGrads, I've been if I had a dollar for every time someone said, "I wish this platform existed when I was starting out," because you are lost. You don't know what you don't know as a new grad. And it's not until you've gone through some experiences of interviewing and maybe your first job and you move on, like all those different things, it builds up your experiences and knowledge and how to move forward in your career, and you got to start somewhere. So be easy on yourself too. Be kind to yourself at the early stages. You are going to get a lot of no's, a lot of rejections potentially, and that's okay. It's part of the process, and just keep plowing forward in the job search.
Great points.
Don't forget to check out the other 4 parts of this series. We hope you're enjoying and getting some value from our conversations. Also, don't forget to visit www.foodgrads.com and create your free profile today.
Consider exploring these resources.